I fixed Doctor Who Season 14 without changing a single episode. Let me explain. Hey guys, welcome to the video. We're about a week away from the release of the next season of Doctor Who, and regardless of what you actually think about the season and how it's going to turn out, I'm extremely excited. So naturally I thought I'd rewatch the last season to catch up before the new one comes out. Many have pointed out that the episodes don't really feed into one another. Now this can be boiled down to the writing of the episodes, which, let's be honest, are very subpar, but something that other people have pointed out is that the actual episode order might have also been tampered with. Some suggest that Boom was meant to come before The Devil's Chord, but due to Eurovision it was changed. And this actually does make sense evidently because the Doctor mentions this is Ruby's first planet. Looking at the order of the episodes, I feel as if there is a somewhat decent narrative with decent character development to be found. So, I actually created a watch order for the episodes that provides the best character development as well as continuity. So you can watch a slightly better season leading up to the next one. Let's get started. So obviously we're going to start off with the 60th specials. Then after the Church on Ruby Road, we have episode 1, Space Babies. Now again, I know this episode isn't really that good and some people find it incredibly annoying, but it does provide us with information about who the Doctor is. And besides, it's not like I can just create a new episode. I'm working with what I have. I'm taking the actual episodes and reordering them. That's literally all I'm doing. Episode 2, Rogue. Now again, this episode is a little cheesy, but it does provide info on the Doctor for new viewers and keeps the tone more lighthearted early on while showing us some of the Doctor's inner darkness. It also makes this moment with Ruby and the Doctor actually mean something. It also makes the Doctor's standoff nature make more sense. This being the moment where the Doctor and Ruby's relationship goes from kind of casual to a little bit more intimate. This way, the line where the Doctor claims Ruby changed him and that he talks about his family in a way that he's never before actually kind of makes a bit more sense. And you can actually kind of see the hints of it. Having this episode come directly after the episode where Ruby's mom meets the Doctor and they have like a bit of a conversation, this episode actually feeds into it.
Oh, my mum's called Carla and my grand's called Cherry, and it snows when I was born, and we met Space Babies, and I'm really,
If she had been with the
really
Doctor
sorry.
for a long time, she would have mentioned all the other things they did, but she only says Space Babies. It's also kind of similar to season 1 where they had a celebrity play a character in a historical setting with a companion bringing modern flair to the 1800s time period. It actually makes too much sense when I really look at it. Lastly, it shows Ruby no to Susan twist, which works for the next episode. Episode 3, 73 Yards. Now this isn't really for a significant reason, this is just a place to put it for the best consistency. We get to explore Ruby's character a bit and see what her fears are, that being abandoned. I think this needs to be early in the season because Ruby without the Doctor isn't really portrayed as a huge deal in this. Ruby cares, but she's not really devastated. Also, Ruby's mom doesn't seem super emotional with Ruby coming back, implying that it hasn't even been that long. So this being early on in the Doctor and Ruby's relationship actually makes a lot more sense. It also works best for consistency, with Ruby starting to notice Susan but not actually having it being dwelled upon. She only just says, "Hey, do I know you?" Lastly, the way the Doctor and Ruby act together seems more like the Doctor is in a bit of a tour guide state rather than like a friend state. This isn't great, but it's the best I can do. Episode 4, Boom. Now this is the climax of the Doctor and Ruby's relationship. At this point, they have a sense of comfort between them, but there's still being a little bit of barrier between them. In this, we kind of get to see the barrier being broken. Ruby sees through the Doctor's facade. Also, the line about it being Ruby's first planet really works here. I think the moment where Ruby's about to die is a bit more impactful because the Doctor is reacting to it thinking, no, it's happening again. The scene where the Doctor pours his heart out to Ruby, it works as the peak of their relationship. If I was to rewrite the episode, I'd have this be the moment where the Doctor gives Ruby a key, if she should even get one in this season, because there's been a lot of companions that don't get keys, and it feels not random, but in this particular moment, it's just, hey, here's a key. It doesn't really mean anything. Same with a lot of the stuff that Russell T Davies brings in. It kind of just feels like Russell's playing the hits, except they don't hit. If you want, you could swap this and 73 Yards. I think it works both ways, but I think it makes the most sense this way. Episode 5, The Devil's Chord. Now that the Doctor and Ruby's friendship has been fully developed, we can actually see how that happens within the context of an episode. The line about the Doctor mentioning his granddaughter works as him feeling comfortable talking to Ruby again, making it more significant, and the big mystery of Ruby's origin works as close to the mid-season, regardless of what it ends up leading up to. Also, having the Maestro say, "The one who waits is almost here," fits a lot better here, because it's mentioning it closer to the initial reveal. Lastly, lines like "You never hide" and "I can't stop this," and "I think June maybe," work here because we're more than halfway through the season, so we know that they'd spend a decent amount of time together. Episode 6, Dot and Bubble. This is honestly the best place to put it because it shows the Doctor and Ruby is truly equal. This is also the first time Ruby and the Doctor actually mention Susan, which works as a better segue into the next episode. This also provides the final situation of the Doctor losing control. The entire season had moments where the Doctor had to deal with his lack of control. In Rogue, he had the ordeal of whether or not to sacrifice Ruby. And then in Boom, we have the Doctor desperately trying to control himself so he doesn't blow up a planet. In The Devil's Chord, he had to deal with a foe that he couldn't easily defeat. But this is arguably the worst example and the most impactful and heartbreaking one. Basically, he was unable to save people not because he didn't have what it took to save them, but because the people he was trying to save didn't want him to save them. This being the most frustrating example because the reason he can't do anything is just ridiculous and stupid. The people of Fine Time couldn't look through their prejudice to realize they don't stand a chance on their own, so they reject the one person who could possibly save them. The Doctor's outburst works so well here because at this point in the season, we hadn't really seen the Doctor react this bombastically. Seeing the Doctor break like this works as the perfect pre-finale moment. And lastly, the Doctor and Ruby mentioning Susan twist works the best here because it makes sense that immediately after the plot of the current episode, they would go on and try to investigate the next mystery. It's perfectly in character for the Doctor. Then episode 7, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, episode 8, Empire of Death, and then Joy to the World. So there you go. This makes for the best continuity and character development. Now I know there's a lot of other problems with this season, and the names of the episodes could be somewhat better. In fact, somewhere throughout the year I'm planning on making an edit of the entire season, some minuscule edits, others some bigger ones, to try to make for a better story, and I might rename some of the episodes along the way. Eventually I'll make a video once I'm done those edits, but for right now enjoy this new order and tell me what you think of it and what would you personally do for the order of the episodes and what you think creatively could have been done better to make this season better. But anyway, thank you for watching, God bless.